Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. I am your sensei. And this is Unit. Say hello, Unit. Oh, Unit. Unit, what do you think of every day? What do I think of in every day? In every way, I take the beast. Yes, to make it stronger. And how do you do that? I do it through self reflection. And what is self reflection? Self reflection, self reflection, self reflection. You look at the reflection. You see what other people see. That's right, folks. Most times we don't see what happens with what we do. You know, we don't respond within the context of reflection. So anyway, as I observe the world around me, and I can because I'm in a quiet spot. New folks have moved into the valley, and they are super duper. They're from you know uh, California, where everything had to be perfect, and they keep telling me how perfect California was, and I say, well, why did you leave? Well, oh, all those homeless people. Oh, did you think about the homeless? Oh, they're terrible people. All those homeless people are terrible people. We couldn't stand them. They smell. Hmm. How do I smell? You smell okay. I haven't taken a shower in 2 years. I haven't taken a bath in 5 years. Our bodies were, our bodies were around before soap and water and shower and hot water. Right now, I love showers. Standing under that of hot water and just hit it every, pretty much is beautiful. But it's not, you know, kids, I have some friends who are preppers and they've got tons of bullets. And I say, so how's your food? Oh, it's okay. We got a few cans. And then I go look and that's all I had. But they got a ton, they have their prepper room. Does it have, lots of water? No. Does it have lots of cans of food? No. Has lots of bullets, lots of guns. I said, so you're going to eat bullets? Well, we'll hunt. I said, there's not really, the hunting is long gone. We've killed everything. And that's what I see is, everyone's scared of the future. And that's because the powers that be, it's the only way they can manipulate us to do what they want us to do, is to scare us about the future. Um, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm not a soothsayer. I look at trends. I got paid for 40 years to look at trends. And we have been steered. Our ship of state has been sheered towards the rocky crevices of the iceberg, and we're like the Titanic. But we don't have to be. There is a lot of hearsay. The captain of that ship was um, not well, and he was in trouble, and he was given the opportunity to take that boat out. And that boat was not the Titanic. It was a sister ship, a Titanic, that got into an accident and had a big gash on its side. And so he was shooting across the North Atlantic through the iceberg area. And today you wouldn't have to worry about it. There are none floating out there. And if he had just thrown it into full reverse and told everyone, hey, we're, grab hold of something, we're about to hit something. And because they had about 5 minutes before, you know, they hit the iceberg. And if they hit it straight on, it would have crumpled the front, but they had all of these, you know, pressure doors, that could keep the water. But what happened was he tried to miss it. He steered real hard and still was going fast, and uh, and he ripped a hole right along the whole side of the ship. So there was no way he could departmentalize the water going in. And virtually, the Astors, the Biltmores, all of the old wealth died on that boat. All the bankers, all the people who would have stood in the way of the passage of the Federal Reserve Board. Every single one of them died. Everyone, all the bankers, all the senators, all the political people, all the people who said, no, this is not a good idea. This is why we had the revolution in 1776. This is what England tried to do. And, and all those people died on board that ship. So there's going to be a Titanic. It just depends on how big a change needs to happen. The change that needed to happen for the powers that shouldn't be to take over the hidden hand. They just killed a few, thousand people. 9/11, they just killed a few thousand people. You know, um, and every other war we've had has been, the Spanish American War, First World War, Second World War, Korea, Vietnam. Those were all wars that really didn't need to happen. They were done specifically to make money. And we live on an abundant planet, but a small group of people, 1/10 of 1% of just 1/10 of 1% of the world's population. So something like 0.0005% of the population, less than 10,000 people, basically go along to get along um, for them to be billionaires. Now, there are people, money is irrelevant, it doesn't mean anything. But, you know, anyway, self reflection is when you look at what you do, and how you act. Most people, not even a clue. I look at everyone I know, and very, very, very few people are self reflective. And I know as a young man, I sure wasn't. I had good nature, I had good instincts, I had good, lot of things that, good luck, and I had abilities and talents, and I was trying to strive for the best I could do. But when I was 16, I had a really this guy named Carlton Haynes. He was one of the first marble men. Really, he looked like the Western cowboy, but he came from Connecticut, from a rich family, went to prep school, went to Yale, and went to Yale drama, got into drama, and then he wasn't that great at doing it, but he looked great, and so he was at a call, and some guys from Ford. Modeling was there, and they said, "Hey, we got a job for you." And he was a marble man, and so he wore that like do 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 do, and so he got paid pretty good. Plus, he came from a rich family; he didn't have to ever worry about money. And the thing is, he still did. Everyone worries about money. I never have. I've always had whatever I needed. I've always lived like a millionaire, but never was one. And he told me, he said, when I was 16 and he was like 40, we were like Mutt and Jeff. He said, um, you're a lot like me when I was your age, but I didn't have anybody like me to tell you what I'm going to tell you. And he said, you're really great. You got all this stuff going on. That's great. But you have to be more self-reflective. You have to look at what you're doing. You have to realize its consequences, because when you get to a certain point, like my age, I can't change, but you can. And I was the first person who did that, because up until then, I was doing everything what all the people who I cared, respected. My cardinal godfather, you know, Dr. Teresa, who saved my life at birth and ran hospitals and was just a force of nature. My grandma, all these people I had amazing mentors my whole life. Uncle Steve, when I was 9, Grandpa Stahl and his son Mike. And I've always been a lucky bastard. Always been very lucky. And not so much win the lottery or that, I don't do that, but to be in the right place at the right time and be able to be aware of it. And that's more self reflection. So I'm meeting a whole bunch of new people and I'm um, observing. And that's what I do. People go on about, "Oh, how could you stand John Birmingham? Why did you do anything with him? Blah, 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 blah." Well, because I learned a lot from him. I just watched what he did and said, I got to do that. And if I am doing that, I'm going to be more self reflective and see the response of what I'm doing. So, anyway, I just wanted to touch base with you all and see how it's all going. Uh, how's it all going? We've been here 11 minutes, 11 seconds. Let's check. Let's see. There we go. Yep, we're live. Here we are. I'm looking at myself right here. Right there. Here I am. Yeah, there I am. It's a few seconds behind the times. Adventures without end. Yep. John Butler. Now that guy is pretty interesting. Way more interesting than me.
Want to know how to get rid of your toe fungus?
Oh my God, toe fungus! Ah! Ah!
Medical doctor says
There's John on his bicycle. JB, John Butler. What does spiritual?
oh my dear, what does it mean? How many years ago? I think it was 2007 when my first book was published, and I called it Adventure Without End. But the publisher didn't like that, and so we had to think of a new title. And for weeks I went through all sorts of things in my mind. What should we call it? And then one day I had the idea of spiritual unfoldment. Well, I think at that time the word unfoldment didn't exist. There have been a few other people that picked it up since then. So I think I'm probably the person that invented that word. Anyway, it seemed to serve the purpose, and the publisher liked it, so we called my first book Wonders of Spiritual Unfoldment. And that name's rather stuck. And then when we were thinking of a name for this channel, well, it sort of naturally came to mind. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Well, a long time ago, I wrote a letter. I was a member of the School of Meditation then in London.
We both have white beards.
I wrote a letter describing my thrill. This gradual dawning of spiritual reality.
So John Butler, go see him. And I just brought him up because he's someone you should see. Anyway, self-reflection, spiritual unfoldment. Let's see who says it. Let's see. Well, that's good. Okay, story. Let's see. Oh, so self-reflection. So Carlton, right? Mr. Marble Man. So he and I So I was his wingman. I was like 16. He was like 40 something. And he was at the high, I mean, he was on every billboard. Oh, you're the marble man. And so he had girls like you couldn't believe. So we'd go out and he'd have 10 girls would be around him. And he'd take three of them that were like, the hottest, or he thought it was the hottest. And I always got, you know, um, the more interesting girl, the little plain, at least he thought they were. None of these girls were not attractive. So I always went home with the more interesting, the one who was self-reflective, one who was listening to their inner self, and so I and pretty much at 16, those were the women. I learned from watching Carlton. Those were really the girls to go out with. So one of these nights we went out, and I went home with a woman who was really an interesting girl, and she was a demographer and a painter and a poet, and um, and she did all three because she liked doing them, not because she was going to be famous or had to pay the rent. I mean, they all kind of paid the rent. She had some poetry published that paid the rent. She had some paintings that were paying the rent, and she had her job at Columbia as a demographer, which gave her access to everything at Columbia. So I used to hang out in Columbia with her. And I hung out in the anthropology department, which got me into the NYU um, um, anthropology department. So that's the adventure. To not say, oh, it's got to be this way, and oh, it's got to be this way. And you either don't go anywhere, like John Birmingham. You go, oh, I want to get back with my wife and kids, and blah, blah, blah. He has this laundry list. How am I going to pay the bills? Blah, 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 blah. And then there are people who push, just they don't even listen. They don't even look. I want to do this. This is what I'm going to do. And if you get in my way, I'll run you over or shoot you in the head. And that is kind of the American foreign policy, and also policy, Here yesterday was 4th of July, and I was at a party where people came over to my place, and we just had a nice time. But this one guy had a bunch of his kids with him, and so I was in town of this town where these folk were selling fireworks, and I read their palms, and just let's see, John could get his wife and kids back if he wasn't so self-centered. Exactly. Anyway, at this party, said this guy just took it over, and I could see his wife. His wife is like, right, really great person, great job. Is really the adult of the family. They got a bunch of kids, and they're all smart and nice and good, and he, the father, is like the most adolescent of all of them. He's got one kid who's 5. That kid is like amazing. I mean, they're all amazing. Yet the wife tries to pick up for what's going on, the lacking of dad, and dad just keeps pushing. I'm gonna, and he brought a gun to this party. I told him not to do it, and we weren't drinking or anything, but he started shooting around my property. I said, no, whoa, 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 and I took the gun away. He couldn't believe it. I took the gun away from him, took the clip out, and took it apart, and left the parts on the ground. And he was like, "You broke my gun." I said, "No, I did. I took the parts apart because you were shooting it when there are all these people around. There's kids running around everywhere." So then he started shooting off the fireworks. It wasn't even dark yet. So it was like, really? And he had the maturity of a 5-year-old. His 6-year-old was more mature than he was. His 13-year-old way more, and his oldest, who are not quite 17 yet. He is 17, 16, 15, 14, and then a space, and then the youngest one. And like I said, they're all a lot more mature than he is. And yet I can see him affecting them in a negative way. So and he's like annoying to the nth degree, but he has this puppy dog kind of sweetness about him that I can always go, well, okay. And he's got this great family, so I'm going, well, I'm going to see what I can do to help these folk out, subtly without, just. And every time I subtly do my thing, he kind of, you can see it affecting him way down. He doesn't want, I don't want to look at myself. I don't want self reflection. I don't want self reflection. I don't want self reflection. You know, I just want to do what I want to. I want to shoot my gun, but it's in parts. I don't know how to put it back together. And John getting back with his family, if he wasn't so self centered, I don't know. I think that boat has sailed because everything is about him. Now, it's because we live in these bags of water, it's real easy to be you know, all about me, a nihilistic, totally all about me. It's easy, but it's no fun. It really is no fun. When you can be self-reflective and you can be open about what you're doing and who you are and how you're feeling and that you are moving forward to ascend your spirit. Now, all of the holy books are great. They're like what we now call what do they call those comic books? Um, a visual novel? No, it's a term. Anyway, that's why they make such good action movies. So anyway, that's not how life is. Life is not like an action movie. Anyway, I want you to be self-reflective for the next week or so. I'm going to be on the bop. I'm going to go have my eyes operated and my feet and legs taken care of and a few other things. So I may or may not be around. And I will be. If I'm not, I'm not. And so here it is, July. Summer is starting off. Enjoy every minute of your life. Don't, have this expectation and put all the weight on that expectation. Oh, that day at the beach is going to be great. Instead, you'll miss everything that's really great going on right now. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I'll talk to you later.